Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday to you. I hope you are set up to have an amazing day. I have an incredible co host with me today. It's going to be very exciting because we are taking joy beyond 2D this morning. So get ready for an all new episode of Project Joy Live. Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Friday to you. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and this is Project Joy Live. It's your triple shot of good vibes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the 9 a.m. Eastern Time hour. I'm so excited today because we're going to be taking joy beyond 2D. I'm going to be joined today by my fabulous Beyond 2D co-host Farron Dozier. He's here. He's excited. It is early as hell in California. It's early. And so I'm so grateful that he's here this morning. But I have so much joy to share with you today, and we'll talk about it now in the morning brew. Let's do it. I hope y'all are up and ready to go. Mornings after concerts for me are a blur. That's all I can tell you. I'm at that point in my life now where I go to these shows and I'm like, this is great and wonderful in the moment, and then the next day I feel it. I feel it. But I have a big statement to make this morning. Are you ready for it? Last night, my husband and I saw Chicago in concert and at Mohegan Sun Arena, which is huge arena, by the way. Second show we've been to this year that is like packed. The whole 10,000 seat arena full is amazing, incredible energy when that happens. And I have been waiting a long time to see Chicago. There is a sad sob story about this, which I will not be sharing live on air today. But I was supposed to see them back in the early 2000s and didn't take that opportunity for, as I said, reasons we will not divulge today. But I finally saw them last night, and I have seen a lot of shows in my lifetime. A lot of shows. I love music. I've shared that before, that I started out singing and acting and performing and all of that when I was really young. And so I've seen a lot of concerts. Love music. This is Chicago, by far the best show I've ever seen. Ever. Hands down. Every song was a hit. And now their music in general always moved me because the musician in me kind of geeks out a little bit because they move from key to key and tempo to tempo like so effortlessly, and bring into their music so many different genres and beats, and just so moving and very timely, I might add. Their music has always felt to me very patriotic in the way of, what can I do to change the world? What can I do to make a difference? And so it was perfect timing for that. A lot of these bands now, they have a lot of imagery on the big screens behind them, while they're playing. And there was, a bald eagle, an American flag, and fireworks at one point, but every song, 25 or 6 to 4, um, uh, I can't even think right now. Like, I'm having complete brain melt. But one of my favorite songs, this was such a beautiful moment. One of my favorite songs up there is Color Your World, and it's a very understated song compared to the rest of their music, which is very like big band sounding, full of horns and drums and all of these things. And Um, this song is very like relaxed, laid back. It has a flute solo at the end. Who comes onto the stage and plays flute anymore? Not a lot of people, you know. And so it just is, and it's a shorter song. So we're sitting there listening to it. I'm getting very emotional because, like I said, this is one of my favorite songs from them. And the gentleman sitting next to my husband leaned over. He was there with his wife, and he says to my husband, "This song was our wedding song in 1972." And he just was having this whole moment with it. And it was just beautiful. It was amazing. I'm blown away, like the age of every. I mean, that band has been around since the 1960s, you guys. I mean, incredible. And they performed like nobody's business. It was incredible. So great energy. Again, I gotta shout out Mohegan Sun Casino is one of our favorite places to go. I'm a little bit biased because my cousin headlines there in comics, but we do really love them and the way that they have things organized and laid out, and everybody's so friendly. I had a great conversation with our usher last night, because I get seats that are up against a wall, so my vertigo doesn't send me flying down the stairs. So I'm up against the wall, and so the usher stands right there. And we were talking last night about how much she loved her job and getting to see all of these different people in concert. She was quite a bit younger, and it was just nice. It was beautiful, and like it was like no time had passed. They were really really incredible, and so that's my big joy today. My big joy today was going to that show. I also I don't even know. I've had such I want to thank everybody uh for the comments that I received from the clips from Wednesday's show. Wednesday was a tough day for a lot of people. It still remains to be tough days for a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of I'm trying to not on social media right now, to be honest with you, because it's a lot. It's some of y'all are real extra right now, right now. But I want to thank everybody for the beautiful feedback. As you some of you know, that was really tough for me because there were comments coming in during the show that were um less than productive, we'll say. And I really did. I was Some of you saw my story where I broke down all of the clips from the show, and then I shared my thoughts after, and I had a moment. I had a moment after that show where I thought I don't want to do this anymore. Because if we're in a world where me sharing joy and love and peace and a message of that is said to be anything other than that, I don't want to be a part of it. And then, so many of you had such great thoughts to share. And then it was really beautiful last night because as we were coming out, my husband and I went to dinner prior to the concert, and we ran into my daughter's dance teacher, who is not very active on social media, but she did see my stories from Wednesday's show, and she went on about how she felt that I was brave for putting myself out there the way that I have with the show. And I just stood there and kind of just received for a moment because it was just really beautiful. And I said, sometimes it is hard. Sometimes it is hard standing for peace and joy and love, and people going, no, you need to pick a side, you need to be angry. And I'm just you know what, guys, I don't need to be anything other than who I am, and that's it. And so that's where I'm at today with that. And I just wanted to really share my joy. A heartfelt thank you to everybody that reached out after the show. It was a beautiful experience for me after the fact. After the fact. So listen, I'm very excited because I'm joined by a co-host today that we're going to bring on the show. We are taking joy beyond 2D today, you guys. He is my co-host for the show Beyond 2D, which you can catch every other Tuesday. We're having our season finale coming up very soon, which we'll talk about. So listen, without further, we're going to take a little break. We're going to look at a documentary that he's a part of. And when we come back, he will be magically on the screen and we'll have a conversation. So we'll be right back after this.
On April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embrace the definition of love. Love is the experience of well-being. And a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well-being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
Everybody, please put your hands together for Farron Dozier. He's here.
Saturday in the park.
Think it was the 4th of July. And
That's my childhood.
Every time they sang that line, the fireworks came up behind on the, it was just so great.
That's my childhood.
It was so great. Literally so good. Have you ever seen them in concert before?
No, I have not.
Man,
I wish.
the energy just, I've been, well, I mean, it's not to discount some of, like I said, some of the other shows I've been to where the energy is just electric like that, but especially since the last couple of days, it is so lovely to see everyone coming together and singing the same damn song.
You know, you were commenting about your show on Wednesday, and then you look a couple of days before and everybody's at the Dodger freaking parade, and we could come together when it's athletic stuff and concerts and parties and clubs. But as soon as you got to talk about something serious, that may involve someone else's opinion, their self-expression, their opportunity to say what's in their mind, in their heart, it's a whole nother incident.
It is.
Why is that? Why is that, people?
It's wild to me, Farron.
Why is that, people?
You and I have had such beautiful conversations on Beyond 2D about things that really matter, things that are really important, relationships, communication, authenticity, some of these leaderships, all of these things that we really need to be talking more about. And here we are creating this space for that, as we do. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie at all. It's been really, really hard for me the last couple of days. The way that I absorb things, I've had to really work. You and I have talked about boundaries before. I've really had to work on keeping myself safe, my own and not because of one side or another, because the collective kind of nastiness that's happening right now. And people that I think that here's a little ego blow, because I don't know if you've experienced this as well. People that I have respected for the longest period of time suddenly completely losing their minds and saying the most horrible things.
Yes.
And so then I have to look at me and go, where are you putting too much stock into these people?
Our next conversation.
Expectations.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, for sure.
Listen, I gotta take a little brief moment here. Miss Nancy's here. By the way, I don't know why Facebook names aren't showing up, but I did look on Facebook. I see who you are. We have Nancy here. We have Danielle here. We have Miss Brittany here. We have Teresa here this morning. Lots of happy, wonderful people here today. I love you all.
Let me tell you what joy in the Lord feels like. So, at Wednesday, it's going down, and I allowed myself to feel what I was feeling about this whole presidential stuff, right? And do you know, as soon as I took my mind off of God, I felt the anxiety come on my body. Like it was just already there. And then as soon as I took my mind off of that and back to what God has to say about this government system in this world, it went away. I mean, like that. Yeah. And I sat there like, oh my goodness. I'm not pretending that I'm not concerned, but I'm not going to let my mind take off and go down that rabbit hole like we talk about, and then have my body sensations come up, and then have the nervousness and the world, and oh my God, no. For 1 second, I use my imagination and I let it go, and I felt it in my knees and my legs and I'm like, oh no, and I put my mind right back.
This is what we will not be doing.
We will not be doing this tonight.
Yeah.
And my body, now, I'm not saying that my thoughts stopped thinking, but my body did not react. And so, learning about myself, your subconscious mind is so powerful. Our heart is so powerful, and those opinions are so strong that we have developed, that we live from. They're not even your opinion, really. It's just how your brain works. That if you let that go for a second, I could see why people felt so much frustration about him and the red and the blue. And I'm like, but the research that I did for myself to find peace in the world, I was like, nope, we're not going to allow the world systems to dictate how I feel about life.
Well, one of the see, okay, so I'm just going to warn y'all right now. If you have not seen an episode of Beyond 2D, we're going to get a little Beyond 2D for just a moment here, okay? Yeah. So just we're going to talk about a couple little things. One of the hot button topics right now is about identity politics and how much we need that. We should all be voting as Americans and not as a woman, as a man, as a white person, as a black person, as a whatever. How do you feel about this idea that because I'm a woman and because you're a black man, that we're supposed to be angry and mad and everything else, and we're supposed to be cutting people off, right?
I lost what I would consider, I thought was a friend, someone who I was working with to impact youth in his organization. Enough said. And we're no longer communicating because my moral views was different than his moral views, because I wouldn't bash Trump. I don't care for either one of them. And so now, I sat and I thought about this whole world system. I thought about psychology. I'm like, this whole world system is really generated from a psychological, emotional state for people. And you want people to respond by their identity? That's the last thing you want people to respond by, is their identity. Yeah. Because our identity is corrupted. Not
We've
purposely.
talked about that before, yeah.
Yeah, but not purposely. But if you really self-examine yourself up against something other than your thoughts and how you feel about life, put those thoughts up against some principles, you will find that some of your views and your opinions are not of your own. Right. They're influenced by your grandparents. They're influenced by your mama, your dad. And so all of that creates our identity. And when I thought about you this morning and the Project Joy, and I'm like, that friendship stuff is like, oh, in the military, camaraderie. Yeah. It's almost Veterans Day. The number one thing you can ask a veteran, now I would say 98% would say, what do you miss in the military? Camaraderie. Because that identity is connected to that organization, that identity of being a soldier. So you want me to base my life decisions off of my identity? I'm trying to peel them off.
Right. 100%.
Trying to get rid of my identities, because the identities may equate to your title. And if you're a title, then you're going to look at and you're going to listen and filter your life through that one title. And why do we think people get kind of arrogant when they get power, when they get a certain rank or a certain position? Because that identity takes that on.
Well, and how can we if we're so caught up in this is who I am, and when we're so caught up in that, it creates, I feel like, an unintentional boundary between yourself and other people who maybe don't see things the same way as you. And then there's a refusal to listen.
Mhm.
That's probably been the most mind-blowing thing to me, other than saying that standing for joy and love is some sort of message of hate. I don't know how we got to that, but that's the other thing that's been the most mind-blowing to me, is an absolute refusal to listen to the other side. Because if you look at every single all of these races, whether and there's a disagreement whether they're, it's all the matrix or whatever. But anyway, um, every race was so close, which
Mhm.
means that we are literally split down the middle in everything, but we're unwilling to listen to what the concerns are of the other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm. And that's why I say that we are a United States, but the lowercase u and the lowercase s.
Mm,
We are not united.
yeah.
And it's nothing wrong, because now you're pointing to what I'm peeling off, and I teach at church, and I teach emotional intelligence from, is our opinion.
Mm,
We think that our opinion is the truth, and I will defend my opinion to death. When, if I tell the truth about my opinion, again, it's probably an influence from a hurt or something that I'm pretending to not feel like anymore.
right.
So I'm right and you're wrong, and we live life. Just one, right or wrong, good or bad. What's in it for you? What's in it for her? What's in it for him? Those are all opinion, and we listen from that opinion, usually from a thought or a rejection or a pain or a wound, emotional wound.
Mm,
So I can't listen to you, because if you say something that I don't like about me in your conversation, world. So I'm
different.
already listening from defend. I'm already listening from
Right.
my hurt.
Yeah. Yep.
And we don't realize that that's not us.
Right.
That's your heart. That's your subconscious mind trying to protect you. Yes, it is designed to protect you, to keep you safe and alive, but in context, it also hurts us. And we don't even, we do see it, but we sometimes you don't know how to express that hurt, because then you're going to judge me.
Right.
If I tell you what my hurts are, if I tell you what I'm dealing with, you might not be my friend no more. So you have all this stuff, and we can't be politically different.
Yep. Yeah. I
That's that's the human race.
it's we are in an interesting time.
Mm.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
No, there's nothing new under the sun. This is what we're dealing with, is what our ancestors,
Mm,
people in the past, dealt with,
our own way.
and now we just have a little bit more technology. We have a little bit more freedom of speech. We have a little bit more mic. Is this thing on? we
Oh,
have we have a lot more things that we can now express ourselves,
yeah.
because Facebook is asking me, what am I thinking? Oh,
Yeah.
with no filter.
I think I wish I need everybody just to take a break. please, please get off social media for
But I love you. I care about you, and I want to be your friend. But we
but
don't have the same moral. That has that has nothing to do with morals, bro.
and that's what I mean, so many people are talking about that right now. It's wild. I want to shift gears a little bit because as we were
Okay.
talking about identity, uh you're a part of a documentary that's coming out called The Friendship Paradox that I'm very excited is
Yes.
coming very soon.
Yes.
And we talked about and I don't know if you remember this because it was a while ago. I'm asking everybody.
Let's go.
But
Let's
we
go.
talked about being included in
Mhm.
our conversation. And I have a clip that I would like to show everybody this morning
Okay.
about, and
Okay.
then we'll talk about it really quick. So
Okay.
here it is, another world premiere clip from the Friendship
What
Paradox.
did my heart say?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's Farron Dozier on being included.
I think it's the human condition. For me personally, sometimes it's disappointing a little bit. But then before I take on the disappointment for myself, I have to go back and self-examine that relationship, and then I could see why they would not invite me or whatever that is. So I still don't think it bothers me as much.
Yeah, I understand that. I think with some of these questions, like, it's okay to desire something and still not be bothered by it. Like, it's okay to be like, hey, I'd really like to be included. I'd really love the opportunity to say no. It doesn't bother me per se, but would I love the opportunity? Absolutely. Because I think I don't really know anybody who's telling the truth to themselves who doesn't like to feel liked or included or valued or wanted, or any word that you want to insert there, because I think that human connection is something that we need in this life. With somebody, with anybody.
That human connection, that's the thing. That human connection is important, right? But then again, what's behind that human connection? And some stuff is just corrupted information. Some stuff is not even about me. It's about them and them not having the confidence or courage. People are afraid of rejection. Now you're talking about friendships. Friendship is the label. That's easy to point to, but then what is going on in that other person's life that has them not to want to ask you, because they might afraid you're going to say no, or they know you already, and so you're going to say no, and then you don't get invited because they thought that I was already going to say no. So there's so many layers to having to be in friendships, and then having the space to be like, man, hey, you know what, you can ask me, but some people are afraid. So that could be rejection if I say no. They take that as rejection. They take that like I would be like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. But it was nothing about Farron, but I make it mean about Farron. So we have to, as we develop these friendships, what does it mean to me? Because sometimes you're not going to get invited, and I have to be okay. That's the self-reliance, the self-esteem, the self-love, that if you have that for yourself, then those voids that happen in life, it won't trigger me. Like, love your neighbor with the same measure you love yourself. Like, I take that as that neighbor is my friend. So how much do I love myself is going to be important on how I treat you as my friend too. And then how I'm not treating you, I have to look at my own life and be like, well, I don't love myself 20%. Well, what 20% that I don't love myself? Because that 20% that I don't love me as a friend could be what I'm reflecting on that other person that has nothing to do with them. So it's a lot. That whole social piece can be important, because I may not ask you to go hang out, because if you tell me no, I'm going to feel bad. And then I feel rejected. And then I make it mean about me. It has nothing to do with you. Now it's all about Farron and his self-loathing. And you're not my friend because you tell me no all the time. Like, it's so many layers to that. And like I said, to have a friend that you can go weeks without talking to, or days, and call that person and say, hey, what you up to? Oh, everything's cool. Like, not, how come you didn't call me last week? What? like, oh, how come I didn't call you last? Like, there's people like that will wait for you to call them, and then when you call them to connect, they're like, you called me last week, or like, okay, and I have to justify, why I didn't call you. So is that a friendship? I don't think that's a friendship.
Well, Welcome back to Project Joy Live. I almost said Beyond 2D. It feels like it, but it's not. It's Project Joy. How do you feel looking back at that clip?
It looks like my dad. I'm like, who's that guy? I had the full beard then. Now I had to find myself because I look like my dad in my growing of my beard. I'm like, is that my dad talking to me?
The glow. Listen, the glow up that has happened with some of y'all since we recorded.
I'm telling you, like, hey, like, who's that? That's not me. But yeah, no, I still live from that. I was just talking to my youngest daughter about that same thing. That is, we have to figure out what is my relationship to relationships. And when you drill down and peel those layers off and tell the truth to yourself, you're going to discover that there are some things that I don't like about me. And what I discovered was the 20% that I don't like about myself, I'm living through that filter. And I'm waiting for somebody to speak to that hurt so that I could feel, not only be angry toward them, but the diminished self-loathing that I get to be about myself. Because see, I told you I was right. See, my mind, you right. See, I told you wasn't good enough. Remember? I told you. But that's me talking to me. That's not the person saying that. Oh, Farron, you're not good enough for us to hang out with. No, that's myself talking to myself about myself, that I'm not good enough because they didn't call me or they didn't invite me. Rejection. Where's rejection in nature? Oh, there it is right there. I got rejection in the corner. There's rejection right there. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So my test for reality is up against nature. How I talk and how I learned, how I describe life versus saying what's I'm actually dealing with the freedom to say that, then my test for reality is nature. And I can't show you rejection in nature. And if someone said that that's rejection right there, it's still your perspective, your perception, and your opinion of what rejection is for you. It may not be rejection for me. But we're both right. Maybe I was taught that wasn't rejection. That was something else in my family. But then we fight about that.
Right. We're both right. And you know what's interesting about that? We had a politician running for Senate here who the last 10 days of the campaign, their opponent put out 3 different smear campaigns. Like just it got nasty at the end. And so all he could do, he obviously didn't have time to rebuttal anything. So he went on Facebook. And the wild thing is that one of the campaigns talked about how it said what this person believed in. And he was like, actually, that's wrong. And you know what? The funny thing is that we agree. And it's okay to say that we agree. Why are people afraid to agree on different things? You know, it's crazy to me as we're talking about that.
Another opinion that we live from is win or lose.
Yeah.
It's an opinion. And if I say that I lost to your opinion, then it goes back to this lack of self-esteem, lack of self-love, self-loathing, the diminished because, and guess what? You might be right and I'm still wrong, or you maybe win officially and I lose officially because of my opinion about that. Yeah. But depending on how I filter my life up against my past and my hurts. See, we don't tell the truth about our hurts and our wounds and our true deep feelings of emotions of where I feel diminished. Like, damn, again, Farron, how did you do that? Why would you you didn't learn from that? Like, but this is me talking to me, not talking to you, because you'd be like, what are you talking about? Let's talk that through. Let's gauge that. Are you being too hard on yourself?
Right.
But that's the self-talk, and we have to. You don't have to, but if you want joy, if you really want joy, You gotta be willing to give up your worries, your concerns, your circumstances. And I believe that's why this whole politic thing is such a thwart in relationships, because these are my concerns. These are my worries. These are the circumstances that I'm living with, and this person is up against my circumstances and he's not even considering my worries.
Mm.
Yeah, everybody's not going to be your friend. Everybody's not going to like you. Everybody's not going to love you. Everybody's not going to talk to you. Everybody's not going to date you. Like, we have to tell the truth about what it is to be a human being. Everybody's not going to want to be your friend. And that's okay.
Right.
Because I love me.
That's it. Gotta love thyself.
If you don't love me, I'm good.
We talked that was a question that I asked everybody. What I've shared with folks about these clips that I've been sharing on the show. We've had 5 exclusive clips now from the documentary. And all of the ones that I've shared have been some of the extras, some of the questions that were asked off of the main list. And the reason why is because I wanted those questions that I asked everybody to be the focus in the film. And so some of these ones that we've been showing are like extra clips that we've had. And so but one of the ones that I did ask everybody was, I asked everybody, are you a friend? Do you consider yourself your friend? Do you remember that question? And so I asked everybody that same question. And I think the general consensus is that they didn't start out that way, but that, over time they were able to learn, oh crap, friendship with myself is really important.
For real. The friendship with myself. Me
and myself argue a lot.
Look, I'm 54 and I just barely started to be able to go to dinner with myself. Right?
Where do you want to go? I don't know. What do you want to eat?
No, it was worse than that. My friendship with myself was, what are they gonna think about you? Look, they're gonna look at you like you by yourself. You're a loner. Look at him. They're gonna be talking about you. Look, wow. by himself. See? So how am I gonna go to dinner and eat when my mind is telling me, look what they're thinking about you? You're a loner.
Isn't that wild what we tell ourselves too? Like myself, listen, that's why I love myself. I love the friendship that I have with myself, but sometimes myself needs to get a grip.
But I did the work, Jessica. Yeah. I did the work to find out where was that coming from.
Right.
I couldn't even walk to the store across the street because I'm thinking that the people in the car is going to be looking at me like, look, he ain't got no car. Look at him walking down the street. Look, he got to walk to the store. Look at him. What's wrong with him? Look, and I got 5 cars and a motorcycle at the house. Yeah. And I can't freely walk take a nice walk in the sun to the store. Yeah. I got to drive because I don't know what people are going to say about me as I'm walking down the street. How ridiculous is that?
Why do we do this to ourselves?
How absurd is that? And when you discover where the absurdity comes from an 8-year-old, 11-year-old decision about yourself, because your mom's car broke down and you and your stepfather had to walk to the store, and there was shame and embarrassment because you was pushing the grocery cart home when you're not supposed to. When I was taught as a child in the 70s that you're not supposed to take the cart from the grocery store parking premises. But my stepfather takes the cart and now we're walking home with the grocery cart and I'm embarrassed.
Right. It's wild where these stories come from. You all should check out Farron's books, by the way. The ebooks are on Amazon, right?
Yeah, they're on Amazon Kindle.
Go check out his ebooks because they really talk a lot about where these stories that we make up about ourselves come from, where they start. And then if you go back, you can forgive yourself for those things because that's just what you did at the time. It's what you only can do what you know how to do
at that age.
And right, that's it. And shame. So
Jessica, that was shame. That was shame. What does an 11-year-old child who should be free and playing and enjoying life get thwarted by an experience of shame that doesn't have? I didn't know it was shame. I just know how I felt and what I was taught, and this is not right. And also we had to pay for food stamps. So now you're going to school in the 70s and you got food stamps, and I'm seeing my stepfather pay with food stamps. Talk about embarrassment and shame, and then we pushing the grocery cart home. Like, oh, never will that happen to me. That's the decision I made. I will never be out without a good working car.
See, and it's things like that during these times of sort of global angst, I'll say, when I am on social media and I see something that is outright hateful or challenging to read in whatever manner, I always ask myself, what must that person have been through to get to that point?
Yeah.
Doesn't make it away. I don't think at all it's not an excuse for me for people
Mm-mm.
to behave in a way that is not good to people.
Mm-mm.
But it does help me it helps me to stay calm. It helps me to go, everybody's reaction to what's going on, it comes from somewhere.
Yes.
So now what did they have to go through in order to get to that place?
Exactly.
And to release whatever expectations I might have of how someone needs to behave or that they need to behave in the same way as me. And we're going to be talking about that topic of expectations on a single, we usually do 4-part episodes on Beyond 2D, but on Tuesday, November the 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to be diving into an hour and a half special about expectations. And we'll also be talking about our favorite moments of Beyond 2D. Why do you hope people tune in for this topic of expectation?
Again, ultimately, the expectation and dealing with that to walk away
Danielle's
from.
like, oh shit, by the way. She's
Yes.
like, oh God.
Yeah, you need to be there.
Be there.
You need to be there. It goes back to your show. Let's just leave it there. It goes back to your joy. It goes back to your peace. It goes back to how you say you feel about yourself. And sometimes, I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to leave it at that because we're going to have a whole discussion about that. But at the end of the day, walk away from that episode. If you're really looking for your project, if your project is really joy, if that's really your project, then what is the ingredients of your project that's joy? What are those ingredients? Joy is the label. But what's the ingredients that you get to put in your life that expresses that joy naturally? Not from pretending you have joy,
right,
but from a natural human experience of joy. Because
from what we talk about here, knowing that you are the joy,
you are joy. Yes, you get to be joy.
You get to be that, and so the question is, do you want to be that?
Exactly.
Like, what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you doing to bring that out in yourself? What are you talking to yourself? You talk about friendship with yourself, and it's important. And
because we had it. If you go back to your child, you go back to children, they're so free, they're so just loving and care, and then no filter, and they'll say what they say, and they'll fall down and get up and laugh, and then, but as soon as someone says, "Get off that table," and then I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
And we don't realize, as parents, as uncles and cousins, that we help destroy that joy. And when you get that, there's peace when you get joy.
Yes, there is peace. I feel like that too.
There is peace.
This is a big part of that for me. A huge part of joy for me. And we talked about that on the show before, especially in the last couple of weeks. Peace is really important. Okay, so you've had a lot going on. I want to give you a moment to share with everybody. You have a basketball team now.
Where do I start? Let's go there.
Your own basketball team.
Let's go there.
Right?
Yes, let's go there. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share that. Yes, so I purchased a membership to be an owner of the. If you remember the NBA and the ABA, the American Basketball Association, where Dr. J came from, where the 3-point line came from, where all those different rules. In the NBA, what they did was, I felt was genius. Buy out your competitor. So they bought out the ABA, merged 4 teams, and then those ABA rights went away, and some gentleman in like 2009 went and bought those rights back from the NBA and started putting up franchises of basketball teams in different parts of the states. And so I was able to purchase not one, but two territories. I actually have, and I'm partner in two more territories, so I'm connected like 4 ABA teams. But this first one that's my own is the Ventura County Orcas. And let me tell you, I don't know what it is to have a baby, but I know what it is to be responsible for a baby. And this is what this feels like. Like I just had another child.
I can relate to that for real, but
For
also,
real.
for real,
But I'm pointing to the responsibility
right.
that it feels like when I was handed my daughters. Like,
Right.
oh my God, like this is not just, this is
I've
work.
said that about my shows, some of my shows before, like really, like especially in the climate we're in the world right now, I feel a huge responsibility, and that's why I've been so almost militant about this is what we will not be doing here. Like this is what my purpose is, and I've got to stick to that. And so I love that for you though, that you're able to have this experience. And what a fun thing to do in your retirement, sir.
Yeah. So the and this, so if I have to give you a reason why, this is I have a few reason whys. The first reason why is, as you can see behind me, this is the sickle cell trait, and this is your normal red blood cell. So I almost died from sickle cell trait because my red blood cells did that, and I lost 40% oxygen to my body. Yeah. Well, in that transition of out of the service, suicide ideation, depression, anxiety, all that, I discovered, God showed me that, hey, you was born with that inherited gene. I have a purpose for you to do some work with that. And so fast forward till today, 14 years later, we look in the world and we see, oh, cancer is like a marketing tool today. The whole NBA, the football, everybody goes, pink in cancer to bring awareness to it. Breast cancer. So in my sickle cell community, the exclusion, not being included, is how come they don't do that for sickle cell? How come they don't go red in September and blah, blah, blah? So instead of me being confrontational, I'm like, well, I'm gonna get me a team.
Yes.
I'll use my platform to talk about what I want to talk. And so
okay, this makes me, I just have to pause because it makes me so like emotional to hear you say that, because of the fact that this is what I hope the world will do, is when you're faced with something that you're unhappy with, it's not, well, let's have a fit now. It's but now let's stand up and what can I do? I'm just going to go buy a basketball team and do it my damn self.
And here we are. So what I did was I bought the membership. I have to create this thing from ground zero. The ABA is, here's your territory. You got to find a team. You got to find a gym. You got to pay. So I said, okay, so sickle cell trait is one. Of course, veteran issues from veteran suicide. But then because I discovered my own issues of life growing up outside of the military was my childhood. So now we talk about youth concerns and youth suicide. We're talking about my mascot is the orcas. Do you know that the orcas in this western region are endangered? There's like 92 or 91 orcas left in this part of our country. And guess what? I just discovered what their food is, and we're eating it up. Salmon and cod. And so
this will be another show.
So now these are the things that I care about, right? These are the things that matter to me, and I get to bring these to this platform. But what I also saw is I'm not selfish. So guess what, community? What do you care about? Bring your conversation to the platform, and let's talk about it. And guess what? And enjoy some basketball and chase the ABA championship at the same time.
I'm so proud of you.
That's it. This is all I'm being about. It's not about basketball. This platform is a ministry for me. I have players. I'm not going to say his name, but I have a player that I talk to just last week, and the relatedness. I didn't listen to him from understanding him. I listened to him from the relatedness of our conversation and the things that he's dealing with in his life. I went through,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, you know what, guy? This is why I bought this team, because I understand how important men suffer and how men deal with life as being a man. And what you're dealing with in life, I can't tell you where it's coming from, but I could give you some tools that you could look for yourself.
Yeah.
So God showed me in that moment, see, this is why you're doing this.
Yeah.
It ain't about just basketball. I have a chasing the hoop dream, but I'm chasing it now as an owner of a team and not a player on the court. So I'm still
that's the next
connected.
level.
That's the next. I'm still connected. Like I get to be in the gym and hit the squeaky floor.
Love it. I love it. Listen,
that's it.
You mentioned about veterans, and I do want to mention this really quick before we run out of time.
Yes.
Tomorrow night, if y'all are in southeastern Connecticut or just if you're in New England, it's so quick to get here. Okay. Tomorrow night at the Brown Derby Lounge, Don't Tell Lisa is performing. Y'all know that they're one of my favorite bands. Kathy Ellis, the lead singer, has been on the show. And so they're performing at Brown Derby Lounge and doing a veteran clothes drive. So bring some new clothes for the veterans. They'll be doing the drive. And you get to listen to great music and dance, and I'll be there. So I mean,
I'm gonna tell you, those out there, if you're not familiar with veteran homeless conversations, one of the number one items on the list is socks. Do you know what it feels like to put on a pair of brand new socks?
That's literally, it's so funny because my husband and I were talking about what to bring, and my husband and I immediately were like, we're bringing socks.
Like,
I don't know
Do you know what it feels like to put on a brand new pair of socks? But that's the item of choice.
That's it. We love it. I thought about getting some hats too, because it's getting colder outside. We'll get some
beanies
and some socks. Yeah.
Socks,
so we're really excited about that. And I just love to see my friends like Farron, like Kathy Ellis, doing amazing things for the community.
Thank you for, people don't realize what it takes behind the scenes to have a talk show, even if it's just one show. Just one show.
You and I are overachievers.
I still got to do America Tell the Truth. Like after Wednesday,
we need it, Farron, please. 2025.
Yes. After Wednesday, I immediately went to. I had a show called The Gray Area, and then I had an idea for a show called America in my Obama voice. America, tell the truth, right? And so yes, I'm and it's weird because I've been talking to people and they've been freely sharing about their past and their ancestors and the struggles that they came to this country with. So I'm like, okay, God, I see. It's
I wish I had that. I have it, but it's on my other thing, and it'll change the whole look of the video if I go there. I wish I had that little video.
I know. I appreciate you for that. I like that. So thank you again for your platform, for giving people an opportunity to express themselves in whatever space that they want to come and talk about. Because we don't make people wrong. We don't make you wrong for your thoughts. We want you to express yourself, because that could be just enough to keep that person to stay alive another day because they were heard. We want to belong and we want to be heard. Your children want to be heard, parents. Your children want to, and you better listen to them, because if you don't, then you're going to wonder why when they get 20 and 30 and they move away, they don't call you no more because they wasn't heard from you when they were like 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is what we get to bring today that adults are coming to, and they walk away with like, man, I had a great, I've 14 years. I haven't had one show that anybody ever said to me personally, I hated. That was a terrible experience. It's always like, can I come back? I got some more to say. Like,
I hope that space. If you have not, by the way, while we're on that topic, if you have not talked to a child if you have children and you haven't talked to them about how they're feeling about the last few days, please check in.
Please.
Because one of the most eye-opening things in talking to one of my daughters was the what she felt inside, because we know a lot of people that voted across the board for lots of different things on both sides, and in our family too. And so for them to go on social media and hear from other people that certain people that voted for certain things are horrible, terrible people. And now the kids are hearing my family member's a horrible, terrible person.
Thank you.
You people need to understand the stress you are putting on these children. It is not okay.
No.
You have to understand that and yep, we could sit here and argue, well, why do you let your kids on social media? Well, my daughter's almost 18, so y'all can figure it out. All right. But that's her bit. I've had to monitor it now, because now I've heard from them and the stress they're experiencing. But it's because all of these people on the outside are telling them. You are speaking directly to the children when you say that this person or this person, based on who they voted for, is a horrible person. You know how much stress you're putting on these kids?
Yes. We don't even.
Please check in with your children right now. Please check in with them, because I promise you, especially we homeschool, so we're in a little bit of a bubble, but these kids, they're still seeing on social media, and these kids that are in public school, you don't know what they're hearing when they go to school. So check in. I just want to say, please check in on your kids.
I teach emotional intelligence in LA Unified School District to elementary 4th, 5th, and then 6th graders in middle school. And I hear adult conversations coming from a 4th grader. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you even know to think that about that in the 4th grade? How do you already have your parents figured out that your mom lies because she stutters? That's how I know my mom's lying, because she stutters. Like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
In the 5th grade.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know. No, listen, I want you to join us next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, for our season 2 finale of Beyond 2D. I think, I'm very committed in 2025 to, on the network, having more conversations between people who maybe don't agree, but that are committed to listening. And I think we need to have more of that, and that's going to be my expectation for 2025. And we're going to talk about expectations on Tuesday.
I think for the first time, I might need to get a show producer, because if I do America Tell the Truth, I got to have somebody help me find people who are willing to talk about that, because everybody's not willing to talk about that. So I might, for the first time, find someone to help me put a show together, because I really want to do that show. I've
said from the beginning that I think it should be on the Breakthrough Show Network, because what we do here.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. It's early as hell where you are, so thank you so
thank
much.
you. I gotta go get on the prayer line. I know you're good, because the prayer line at church starts at 7, so I'm cool. We good.
Thank you so much, though, Farron, for being here, getting up early and being here with us today and sharing your thoughts. And I always just appreciate your honesty. And as I said, I'm so proud of you and honored to know you for the work that you're doing in the world. And it's always good to have another Beyond 2D conversation.
And again, thank you for your platform, for the work that you do behind the scenes. If people only knew what it takes to put shows and oversee series of shows, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a talk show, it's a lifestyle. So thank you for providing that for me as well, with you on Beyond 2D, but for the people who are on your platform. So
thank you.
It's a great space. That. It's a great space.
It is. It's joyful. It's breakthroughs. It's all those things. We don't have time to do the whole drawn out birthday thing, but listen, I do have to say, yesterday was my cousin Jim Spinato's birthday. He's been on the show before a couple times. Go. And again, for those of you that are in Southeastern Connecticut or in New England, you're visiting over here, please go to Comics, Mohegan Sun Casino. Jimmy headlines every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Comics with his Comedy Magic show. So be sure to check that out. It's amazing. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Thank you, Farron. Thank all of you for being here today. And I want to remind you to make joy a priority in your life today and every day, because you are the joy. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.